The new Batman vs. Superman movie came out, and I went to see it with some friends, thinking, how bad could it be? Turns out pretty bad. Batman vs. Superman seems like a movie a child would make. Everything in this movie is stupid in exactly the way a child would make it stupid. Nothing in this movie makes sense.
People hate what they don't understand.
For example, there's this scene where a bunch of randoms have kidnapped Superman's mom in an abandoned warehouse. Superman travels halfway around the world when Lois Lane is in trouble, and he's there instantly when she's pushed off a building, but somehow these thugs are able to just kidnap his mom, no problem. Okay, whatever. So Batman is going to save her, and there are 13 guys standing around with machine guns drawn. Then, out of nowhere, Batman explodes through the reinforced floor, shooting a grappling hook straight up into a ledge. Think about how this would have to work. Batman is flying straight up through the floor, so that means he'd have to shoot a grappling hook with enough force to burst through the ground, but not so much force that it bursts through the beam above him. And somehow the sound of the gun going off and bursting the grappling hook through the floor didn't alert some gunmen. Okay. Then Batman pulls himself up through the floor and throws 8 explosives with remote detonators directly onto the machine guns of the henchmen with perfect aim, all while simultaneously avoiding the guy falling into the hole he just made. At this point, the director is just basically calling us idiots. Look, this is a universe with flying aliens, heat vision, and mutant creatures, okay? I understand that there's a suspension of disbelief, but the whole point of Batman in this movie is that he's human. He's the believable one. So we can only suspend our disbelief so far when it comes to his character. This scene was stupid. Also, Batman looked chunky in every scene. He just looked clunky and meat-headed. You could practically hear him saying his own name in every scene. Batman! 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 Batman. Then Alfred looked like a sexy, stupid, hunky, hot mess. Alfred has always been an old, twinkly grandfather type, not this hot jerk. It's like something out of a bad erotic fanfiction. I don't know, was it just me? Anyway. Then they gave Batman an origin story at the beginning of this movie. Why? We've seen his origin story like a billion times. In fact, here's a montage from New York Magazine. From Batman Begins, Batman 1989, Gotham, Super Friends, Batman Year One, Gotham Knight, and now Batman vs. Superman. Everyone knows Batman's origin story. My mom, who's never read a comic book in her life, knows Batman's origin story. There are tribes of people in South America who've never had contact with modern man who know Batman's origin story. It's been told more times than there are movies about the Holocaust. In fact, it's like a one-person Holocaust that we have to keep watching over and over again. We get it. For the love of God, just stop with the Batman origin stories. Plus, the story itself didn't even make sense.
People hate what they don't understand.
Nothing in this movie makes sense. There was this clunky line of dialogue where Batman justifies the entire conceit of this movie by saying that if there was a 1% chance Superman was our enemy, that he'd treat it like a certainty.
If we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Imagine if other countries used that justification against America. If there was a 1% chance America could be their enemy, then it justifies attacking us. That's stupid. That's like saying that if there was a 1% chance that someone on a bus was a serial killer, you'd be justified in taking out the entire bus. And then near the end of the movie, they inexplicably decided to wedge the Doomsday story from Death of Superman into the plot. It would have been a great movie on its own, but they decided to cram it into this movie instead for some reason. During the fight, Superman uses a kryptonite spear that Batman created, which weakens Superman to the point where he gets impaled on a spike or something. And then Superman could have easily given the spear to Wonder Woman or Batman, or he could have just put it in the ground and then impaled Doomsday on it, or any number of other scenarios, but no, instead you get this stupid ham-fisted Death of Superman plotline wasted on this movie. And speaking of wasted ham-fisted plotlines, DC was blatantly franchise crafting with this movie. These introductions were so contrived that they literally introduced them by having Wonder Woman watch a bunch of video clips of these upcoming movies. There was also a ton of unnecessary dream sequences in this movie, and every time you thought something cool was about to happen, they pulled the rug out from underneath you. It's just a dream, bro! This movie was a mess. It's not even bad enough to see it for being a bad movie. It's so bad that it's not even good at being a bad movie, like The Room or Troll 2. It's just bad. Like Man of Steel. I don't know, maybe I just don't like Superman. Anyway, pass. Batman.